If I have a writer's block, I like to create faces of my characters, even the minor ones. If I have a writer's block, I can fill in like the character profiles so I can get to know the character a bit more, their birthday, color of eyes they have, hobbies and background information, or I create some playlist for the characters that sometimes are needed for the atmosphere of the books.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Writing Inspiration with Marquee Books. I'm your host, Dan Ricoveri, and here we have our guest for today. Say hello to Katerina Sukova. I hope I didn't mispronounce it or anything.
Hi, so it's pronounced Sukova. Yes.
Thank you, Katerina. So, tell me, Katerina, how did you become a writer?
Well, I've always had a passion for writing since I was a child, and I got into a lot of fandoms, for example, The Lord of the Rings, and I started writing fan fiction mostly. And over time, I started thinking, like, what if I can make it into something a little bigger? And I had some ideas for my first book, especially ideas from my childhood and stuff that I sort of then made into a whole novel, and somehow I managed to publish it as well, which took many, many years. The first one took like 7 years altogether. So that was quite a long time.
Okay. What made you want to publish?
Well, first of all, I wanted to have my book in my hands, just hold it and smell it and say, oh, this is my book, and just list through it. I wanted to have the physical ones, not just the ebooks. I published ebooks as well, of course, but I wanted to just have the book on my shelf. I wanted to give it to my friends, and I wanted spread the word with other people that maybe they would like it too, and maybe, we could build something nice together. So that was my original intention in this case.
You mentioned that you took 7 years to finish your first one. Were you balancing your life with that, or it was mostly you weren't short of your ideas at that time?
It was that I started writing it when I was 17, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And back then it was in my native language, which is Czech. And then after 2 years of writing, I put it away and I sort of forgot about it for some time. And then I came back to it and I was like, well, maybe I can translate it into English and see what happens. So I tried, and I had some help. Of course, I also have English speaking friends who were immense help. So this is shout out to my American best friend. And somehow we managed to make it work. And altogether it was 7 years of work. A lot.
Wow, that's impressive. So how was your life at that time when you were struggling with this?
Well, when I started writing this, I was a high school student, and when I was finishing up, I was in my early years of college. So I still had quite a lot of time on my hands. I wasn't working yet like now I am. Now I am very bad at finding some time nowadays because I started a new job and everything. So it can be quite challenging. Back then, it was I had 3 hours a day just devoted to writing. That was pretty fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now? What's your job?
I teach English.
Okay. You translated the book. I think the experience helped you to reach that level.
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay. So tell me, are you self-published or traditional?
Oh, well, I'm self-published on Amazon so far. And of course, it would be nice to one day be traditionally published. I am kind of aiming at that, of course. It's my dream. But for now, I'm happy that at least my book can be out in some ways, at least, and that people can still buy it and still reach out, which is quite...
You mentioned before that you wanted to smell and have the books in your hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking if you already have printing companies helping you with that.
No, it's still through Amazon. They can print out the book and just ship it when somebody orders. That's how I did it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was more something that, the writers had to deal with themselves. That's
actually,
good.
I don't have to pay for anything. It's just they cover everything. And of course, they deduct money from the profit that I get, but I don't have to pay anything for it. So that's nice.
Yeah. So tell me, you mentioned that you were on a fandom for Lord of the Rings. Were your books inspired by any other author?
Oh, well, not really by author. I was more inspired by my life and by events and people that came into my life. And I take a lot of inspiration from my own experiences. And of course, I sometimes take some elements. For example, in my first novel, No Sleep, I have been slightly inspired by my favorite TV show called Once Upon a Time, and I
Oh,
implemented
yeah.
some uh, themes and things because that was my other fandom, quite a big one for many years. So when I started writing the first novel, well, I was in the fandom very much involved. So you can see that in the book if anyone knows the story actually. So yeah.
On which category would you put your books?
So the first one is like a young adult mystery novel, and currently I'm working on a trilogy from Victorian England, and I classify it as a historical fiction with fantasy elements because it's a little bit like, if you know Assassin's Creed, a little bit like that. It has some elements that I sort of got
Victorian
inspired
Assassin's
by.
Creed. That's
Yes,
interesting.
Victorian assassins. It's actually about assassins in the end, but not like Assassin's Creed. It's a different concept, but I got some inspiration there as well, of course.
Okay, okay. So, how's your writing experience these days?
These days, not really existing that much. I have a lot of ideas, and I'm currently working on the second book of the trilogy. And well, partially even the third already, because the second is almost finished. I'm just on the editing process. And currently, I am reading my first book out loud to my partner, who is later going to help me editing the second. So I'm kind of getting through that first. So I can get some help and some motivation because these days I'm kind of having a lot of work and not that much time to actually find time for writing. But I want to try better this year. Definitely, it's a new year, so
Oh yeah, I get the feeling. I want to advance more on that too.
yeah.
So tell me, what's like the most difficult thing you had to struggle since you started writing?
Well, probably like putting all the ideas together and actually making the book coherent in the end. Because I just write the individual scenes and then I have to build the connections between them and actually start to make it make
Okay.
sense. And that I struggle with a little bit. Sometimes I just leave massive plot holes, and then my friends are like, "Oh, hey, what is this? Oh, that's a plot hole. I need to fix that." So yeah.
Well, if it's a book that it's like a self-contained story, yeah, you need to be careful with that. I mean, in a
Of course.
series, you can always leave plot holes, and no one's going to say anything because they know
Oh
there's
yeah.
going to be something else.
That's true.
So, what's like your writing routine? Are you a pre-planner, a plotter?
I am more of like I am a planner to some extent. I like to think about my books, for example, as I'm falling asleep. I'm like conjuring scenes in my head and stuff, and then the following day I write them down like as much as I can remember from the previous night. But I don't really write anything down. I mostly just keep it in my head because I don't know. I like to imagine the scene and then write it down. Just write it raw, and that's how I plan most of my scenes. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Did you do anything in particular when you have like writer's block?
Well, if I have a writer's block, I try to do some activities that are not the writing itself, but are still connected. Like, for example, I like to create faces of my characters in Artbreeder, which is an amazing app for that. It's like AI. And I have created faces for all of my characters, even the minor ones, and I have them in like a folder. And so if I have a writer's block, I can either create the ones that are still missing, or I can fill in like the character profiles more, so I can like get to know the character a bit more. So I write down like what's their birthday, what color of eyes they have, siblings, and like this hobbies and background information. that I can later use as sort of like a sheet where I can just go for help if I need to know which color of the eyes the character has or something like a detail. Or I create some playlist for the characters, or I sometimes even just like fill in with some lighthearted scenes that sometimes are needed for the just atmosphere of the book. So it's
That's
usually
a
what I do.
very interesting idea. You're the first one I heard that deal with that in that way. It's very interesting. Oh, so you like pick a song, a main song for that character too?
Yes, I have like for one character in particular in my book, I have a full playlist of like 15 songs, and I listen to them when I need to get into her because she's really like specific in some ways, and I really like to make these for the characters. It's pretty nice, makes me feel them more, you know.
So tell me, do you have like a story of how you name in your books?
Well, it's usually brainstorming with my friends or the people who like helped me make the book come alive. And somehow I usually like gather like 20 different ideas and then I do the picking. And in the end, I end up with one that I feel like is the best for the particular book. So for example, in my first book, which is called No Sleep, it's a book about like dreams, about a dream world. It's about a girl who wakes up to find out that her life was a dream, basically, that she dreamed the whole thing. And No Sleep is like a kind of it's a little bit of a metaphor. It's a little bit of a foreshadowing as well, and it indicates that there is something about the dream life, of course. So I picked that in the end.
That sounds great. What's like your favorite book that you wrote?
Well, so far, I like the Assassin trilogy first one so far the most because I really got into that world a lot, and I think I expanded like pretty much much more than in the first book, which is a standalone. So this world is now very close to my heart, and I'm really proud of myself for what I have done with the first book, and I think that the second is going to be just as much of a banger as the first one is. So I'm excited to let it out and have people read it as well.
When the second book was published?
Well, I don't have a date set yet, but hopefully I would like to let it out during summer this year when I finish the editing and everything and fix all the plot holes. But it's mostly finished. Like there's not too much work to be done anymore. So maybe it will be earlier. I will see. I'm not promising anything.
So tell me, what advice would you give to other writers that are starting right now?
I would say that you just have to, if you have an idea, just try to put it down. Like, just try to put down the individual scenes. Don't think about it too much. Get some like visual help, as for example the character faces, or the music helps a lot as well. I have specific playlists that I listen to. For example, when you're writing a specific like scene, like if you're writing a death scene, you would like some music that can get you into the mood. And for me, that really enhances the quality of my writing. I feel like if I have the music of that scene, I can feel it more. So I would advise that, and just not overthink it too much, and not like write a scene and immediately like read through it and edit it. Just let it sit. You will come back to it, and you will have a like another point of view when you come back to it, and then you can connect the scenes better, and one day it will be a book. That's how it worked with me. I just gave it a shot, and somehow it worked. It took many years, but in the end, I really made it work, and that was a really great feeling.
Hey, it doesn't matter if it took 7 years or whatever. You were a child at that time.
Well, yeah.
It's normal. It's
Uh-huh.
very rare for someone to publish a book at 16 or something like that.
True.
Well, I did interview one guest that did that, but it's
Mhm.
not the normal situation.
I can imagine.
Most people usually publish like a 23, at least
Yeah,
for from
yeah.
all the guests I had. 23 or and up.
Yes, sounds reasonable.
So what's like your largest goal or dream as a writer right now?
Well, definitely finish the trilogy. And after that, of course, continue writing other things as well. But I would really like to get the traditional publishing, of course, and build like my social media and everything a little bit more because I've been slacking on that quite a lot as well. I really want to like come to it more, do more promotions and marketing so I can get a bigger reach of my book because it's still like it's all pretty new and fresh. So I really want to give that time and devotion to this because it's my passion and I really would like people to read my book, even though I am grateful for just a few readers that I have. That's still amazing, but I would have that goal, of course, to reach more.
So I have a question. Do you have like a particular topic you want to explore someday in a book or in a different genre that you have already done?
I don't have any other ideas at this point. I'm very much like still staying here in the Victorian thing because there is still like a lot of things to be done and a lot of things that need to be like thought through and stuff. So I don't like to like go too much ahead, especially when I will like changing the books. It was very hard for me when I was going from the young adult mystery into this one because I was like leaving that world behind going into another one. So I would like to stay in this world as much as I can. So yeah.
But would you like give it a try with other genres like comedy
Yeah.
or slice of life romance?
I am open to trying. Like I already tried like two quite different genres and I will see what comes to my mind one day. Like I don't think I am a person who doesn't just stick to one thing. I like to like explore other things and just try what works for me. So I would be open to.
If you wouldn't mind, like hear like a little advice I hear from another guest regarding series, um, try to when you finish a book in a series, try like to take a break and write something else, something short. Maybe like a short story for newsletter or something for your social media even or even for an anthology. For example, my editor told me to like write an anthology in between books for
Mm-hmm.
my series. So I wrote like a 50 pages short story to add to an
Uh-huh.
anthology on probably many years in the future when I finish that. So that way, you don't get like tired of your story if you like need a change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can help, like to refresh your ideas.
That sounds actually cool. I like that. I will try that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No problem. So, do you have like an interaction with your readers that you remember fondly?
Well, I had some nice experiences with some of my, I mean, they are like my other writer friends who also read my book mostly that I connect with on social media and we sort of interact together. And also, of course, many of my friends are my very fond readers. So that's definitely a given. So yeah, I like to keep in touch with my fans and readers. It's very nice to see that somebody is interested and actually liked the book.
Oh,
So
I actually was going to ask about that because I wanted to ask if you have like a support network, but seeing what you said, obviously you do,
yeah,
like you know many writers already.
yeah, I have some connections on Instagram mostly, and so we kind of connect there. So that's quite nice.
Okay, okay. Oh, how much research would you say you do for your books?
Oh, I did a ton of research for the Victorian
Oh
series
yeah, I
because
can imagine.
I really wanted to be like spot on with the details. So I watched like a lot of documentaries. I was Googling a lot of information. I even use like Victorian slang as much as I can. with certain characters. Of course, not with all of them, but with certain more like peasant characters. I like to use some specific words that Victorian people used, just to like keep it very nice and authentic. And
Well, lucky for us, the Victorian era, it was a very well documented era, so we
yeah, luckily.
we kind of know what they said.
Yeah, that's a nice era. I've always wanted to write something from that era, actually, until it finally came to me that I had this idea, and I just went on it and watched documentaries and read all the articles, and it was actually pretty nice to do the research. I liked it.
Yeah, I will say the most difficult one will be like 1,000 years ago or before,
Yeah,
as
definitely.
language was so much different right then at that time.
That
I
would
can
be
even
quite a challenge.
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, I know many authors already delve on that area, but it's never 100% accurate. You have to fill the gaps
Of course,
because of lack of information, of course.
that's natural. Hmm.
Okay. So, do you have like any advice for fellow authors that are like working with designers or editors?
I had my covers designed by my friend who is she's not a designer, but she works with like digital art, and so that was a nice way that we could collaborate together. And she's really good at it, and I really liked my covers, so I was happy that we could collaborate. So I haven't worked with any other designers so far.
Okay, okay. So, how do you handle like the challenges of marketing and stuff?
I just try to like take it easy, just have fun with that. I try to just engage on social media, make some reels, try to make it relatable. Some posts, try to make them informative, especially for writers. Like I try to put myself into myself when I started and think about what I would have needed back then to hear or to know. And then I try to just send it out for the others who might benefit from it, and just send out stuff like that and communicate with other writers, of course. Like I try to make connections as much as I can. And I recommend my book to my friends and to other people that come to our house. I always put the book on the table, just like, oh, look at this.
Yeah. So tell me, like, what are your plans for the future? Are you planning like to go to an event to promote yourself? Maybe a book signing?
That would be nice, actually. I would definitely be up for it if I could find any such events in my area, and we'll
Yeah,
see. I'm not
most
sure how.
local
Hmm.
libraries, you'll have to talk to them about it.
Hmm. Yeah, but also my book is in a different language than what is used here, so it might be a little bit hard to find some audience here.
Oh, I thought you have already the book in Czech.
No, it's still only in English.
Oh, okay, okay, great.
I never translated it.
I thought that you like had both because you
No,
you
no, no.
mentioned that you translated to English.
Well, I translated it and then I sort of perfected it, and I just let the Czech one just lay there in the pits of hell, because it's really not like on the same level at all. It's still the 17-year-old version. So I just realized that I prefer writing in English like than in my native language. So I left it, but of course, like many of my friends asked me, those who don't speak English that well, if I could one day translate it. So that's still like a possibility that I might do that, of course.
I think it will
So
be a good idea, and
mhm,
then put it on Amazon too, so you can
mhm.
sell in both language.
Yeah, you're probably right. I could do that.
Are you planning like to make an spin-off for one of your two series?
I have a little bit of something like that in mind for this series. I'm planning to like write a little bit of like a novella after the series finishes, with like continuation of some sort. but it will not be the same as the other books, of course, but it would be.
As I said, with the anthology approach, and just make like different short stories about all the characters on that world that you might think had something to say.
Yeah. I have some sort of idea which is quite different from these other books. So yeah, might be nice actually.
So can you tell him what platforms your books are on, or only Amazon?
Currently only on Amazon. You can find them there. And I have social media, of course, Curly Writer, where you can access the books from a link, of course, as well.
Do you mind like sharing a bit of your social media where people could like learn more about your progress and your work?
So definitely on the Instagram one, I have so far only active the Instagram. I also have the Twitter account, which I am planning to also like use a little bit more, but currently it is going to be my Instagram account where I am most active, where you can find everything.
It's okay. For engagement, I think two, it's more than enough. Honestly, more than that, unless you have like a professional team working for your marketing, it's more than two, it's too much.
I can imagine, yeah.
Even if it's just like making a post every day, but thinking in content is not that simple. Engagement, it's not that simple.
Of course it's not. I know.
I see it on Instagram, some authors like making comedy skits about their books, acting scenes, making animations with AI. There's so much these days, and doing like I'm sharing different content on different social media when there you have to really think what you are going to post. It's not that simple.
It can be demanding, I know.
You already mentioned about the book signing, but is there like a book event on your area you're interested in?
Well, there are some like book fairs. I think it's in my country, probably in the capital city. And I've never been there yet, but maybe it would be nice to explore as well. It's quite nice atmosphere there, I heard.
You could try to go to a fair and see how it goes. Maybe ask some question. Maybe not for now, but you could ask like if you can make a stand, maybe the next one. And
Could
see
be
how
nice
it goes.
opportunity. Yes, of course.
Well, Katerina, I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for joining us today and for answering all our questions.
Thank you for having me.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming to another episode of Writing Inspirations with Marky Books. Like and subscribe. Bye, Katerina. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.